Oh, my amazing, beautiful friend,
Mm.
Julie Cairns. Thank you for joining us from a whole nother continent. And isn't this just amazing that we can connect in this way? So thank you, Julie, for making the time being here. Um, I'm going to keep the intro short because I really want to start hearing Julie's voice. One, I've just missed you so much. Julie
I
and
know.
I first met.
So, so
It's
good to see you.
it is 13 years ago. And
Oh my
we've
gosh.
connected. We're both in Jeff Walker's Platinum Plus Mastermind. Julie, running the biggest business of any of us at the time, is crazy. She had a huge business doing actual financial trading and teaching people the finances. So Julie is very smart on the money stuff, on the investing stuff, but deeply wise on the inner game of wealth and our relationship with ourself and life and getting into right relationship with that. And so Julie did an amazing project, which ended up being both a movie and well, and then the book was separately, but a movie called The Abundance Code, and her book, The Abundance Code, really talking about the blocks, the relationships, the way that we come to life energetically. But then more than that, Julie just, I would say you walk your talk. That just sounds so wrong. It sounds so sort of macho. You you absorb life and its beautiful essence and your own journey of opening to what is and navigating life with grace and joy. And she gives some of the best hugs ever. So virtually, I wish we could be in person. Julia and I have spent time together in the bush, all over. Oh, I'm getting all emotional because this is just the joy, and I can't wait for you to meet this amazing woman. Some of you would have seen her speaking on the stage in Cape Town at an FFU Live years ago. And so, Julie, my darling, we're here to really talk about, yeah, the scarcity, opening abundance, the things that block us being able to receive essentially the gift of our lives and our wealth. So I'd love you to dive on in. And if people ask questions, share how you want this to go.
Okay, let me start. Let me grab something from my
Oh, I love
little.
that shaggy chair cover. I've got
Thank you.
shaggy chair cover lust.
Okay. So I drew a picture. This is a number of years ago now. I think I drew this just after I'd written my book, um, which was published back in 2015, so quite a while ago. And I noticed that, some people struggle with this concept of abundance and that it isn't just about money. Obviously, I think money is fantastic, right? Money is really important. Money matters. And abundance is about something so much more than just money. And as I was trying to convey this concept of abundance, I found the best way to do it was to draw a picture. And so this is the picture that I drew. And I just want you to take a gander at that because it's really two paradigms. It's two ways of looking at the world, and they're very, very different. Uh, and so you have scarcity as an entire paradigm, and this is the paradigm that we've all been brought up in. Most of us have been brought up in this paradigm, right? Which is talking about competition, talking about comparison, talking about needing to hustle, uh, wondering if there'll ever be enough, being scared. And then there's another paradigm completely, which is the abundance paradigm, where there is more than enough to go around for everyone. Where because there's more than enough to go around for everyone, it's safe to be generous. It's safe to be compassionate. It's safe to be imperfect. It's safe to share. It's safe to mentor, right? And it's safe to spend, knowing that there will always be more coming. It's safe to invest. There's so many things that are safe in the abundance forest that just are not safe in the scarcity paradigm. And so that's really, what my work has been about in this space is helping people understand that it's a completely different way of being when you step out of that scarcity paradigm and into the abundance paradigm. It's not about having, it's about being. And the having follows the being like the cart follows the horse. So, in this way, like chasing the having is literally, in my mind, like putting the cart before the horse. We go to the being place first, the abundant being place. And then, yes, there's so many practical things to think about once we're in that abundant being place. All of the wonderful things that, I know that Anne teaches you. There are practical steps to take, there are things to think about. But when we come from that abundant place of beingness, we're thinking about them not from a place of fear. We're thinking about them from a place of creation, creativity, beingness, abundance. So, yeah, that's what I'm on about.
Julie, I love that. We just started speaking right up front a little bit about, patterns that we can have around trying to control the world, to calm the chaos. And whilst that this fine dance of participating, creating frameworks, creating routines and rituals and systems that allow us to feel safer, this edge between this control, and you bring up so beautifully essentially this essence of coming from fear and this deep-seated fear of not enoughness, but we're not enough, that there isn't enough, that we can't have enough, that others aren't enough, that we're going to be attacked, that we've got to please and feed and perform. And I love what you've just said here about abundance as a being, because I have a beef with a lot of the abundance teachers, and we should all be chasing abundance. We should all be going after abundance because it's so that comes almost from it's the snake oil side of the scarcity side. Just but
Yeah,
it's it's chasing that our right is abundance. We're born in abundance. But you said it beautifully that abundance is not about having, because I think a lot of people think, oh, I want abundance. So it's an external thing. I want lots of
yeah,
shit to hopefully
yeah,
either make me safe, side, whatever. But that's it's like
yeah,
it's not a thing to be had, and it's not a goal.
yeah,
Because if you're going after abundance, it's presupposing that it's not already your innate state.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
something to
exactly.
be
Yeah,
created, it's something to be gone after, it's something to succeed at. There's a path, there's
mm,
a 7 step, whatever to that. So
yeah,
this whole beautiful side, and Sandy, you said abundance is a mindset. I think what Julie is saying and what we're going, it's deeper than that. Abundance is the natural state. It is the ocean that we live in.
bar abundance, bar abundance. And yeah, I agree with you, Anne. I think that, and not everyone, there's some wonderful thought leaders out there who
Absolutely.
have
Yes.
amazing things to say about abundance. And there are some who I believe are still coming from that place of not enoughness. And we are somehow broken, and we're not broken. There's nothing broken about us. We are divine creators, you know. We have everything inside of us that we need to create the most amazing, incredible life. It's just sometimes we don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe it. And we can, if there's anything to be done, I feel like it's not about a brokenness inside. It's more like dismantling the the bars that we placed to imprison ourselves, you know? And we can dismantle those bars. It's like, I don't know, I'm the metaphor that comes to mind is one that my spiritual teacher uses a lot, which is she just basically says, um, the door to your prison is open. It's open. It's been open the whole time. Yeah.
It's just so beautiful. So, Julie, I love this. It's this dismantling this illusion that we've created that
Hmm.
it's not already available. This deep, as you said, there's more than enough. There's enough. We're already in this place. I think quite often in the non-dualistic teachings of meditation or states of being is also about awareness isn't something we try and get. It's the dropping away. No, it it is always here. So it's like, how do we come back to this innate state and
Yeah.
remove these barriers? So I'd love you to sort of dive in. What are some of the ways that we can remove these barriers? And this is the paradox. Like we want
Yeah.
the path to the thing for the thing that already is. And so it's just like, well, it's just drop the barrier, drop the barrier. But you
Yeah.
also wrote in the abundance code some of the key barriers or belief sets or mindset issues that are some of these barriers that block people, but or maybe
Yeah.
some of the practices that can help us remember the truth and come back and drop that fog so
Yeah.
that we can receive what's already there, what's already inside, not out there. So I'd love you to dive on in and then think about some questions, catch us some things. We've got Julie here, but over to you, my love. How do we make ourselves available more to receive what is already there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really feel like it's about changing our limiting beliefs. Those are the bars to our prison that we or society or doesn't matter who have put in place that are kind of constraining us when it comes to our unbounded creation of abundance in our life. And this is something that I talk about in my book, The Abundance Code. I talk about 7 money myths. And these are just 7 beliefs about money that I came across as you mentioned, and I used to teach and have a business that taught people how to trade the stock market. And so that definitely was an endeavor where people bumped up against their limiting beliefs about money all the time, more frequently than maybe people normally would, just on a daily basis. When you're making trades and you're dealing with your psychology of trading, you're really bumping up against that stuff on a regular basis. And so, yeah, through that work, I was able to identify, I guess I had a laboratory kind of people. We had thousands of clients, and I was able to identify what are like the top 7 limiting beliefs about money that most people have. And this is kind of the 80-20 rule, right? If you are able to conquer these 7 beliefs about money, you've probably done 80% of the battle when it comes to your money mindset. And then you're probably going to have a few peculiar to your own childhood or your own upbringing or your own whatever traumas around money that you've got. You're going to have a few of your own peculiar little ones that you're going to have to deal with on your own, right? So the number one, first barrier we put in place is the belief that there is not enough. And this really is the core belief that sets up the entire scarcity paradigm. This thought, there is not enough. There is not enough to go around. If I want more, you have to have less. So if I want more and you have to have less, I have to compete with you. I can't collaborate with you. I can't cooperate with you. I can't be generous with you. You're my competitor. I have to be ruthless with you. I have to be, it sets up, I have to be envious of you if you have more than me. It just sets up an entire paradigm. And what if it's not true? What if it's just not true? What if there is enough? What if there's more than enough? And like, what evidence can we see that there is more than enough? Like, for example, do we have a sun that pumps out energy that lands on our planet all day, every day, that shines more energy upon us than we have learned to harness? Is that not a form of abundance? Don't the plants, who don't even apparently have brains, know how to harness this? You know, like, why do we think we're living in a system that's not abundant? Why do we think that? So we just start to question it. And so I'm giving you this one example. There's seven that I attention to the stages that you go through in order to change a belief like that. So the
Yeah,
first,
yeah, Julie, that would be really great. And I just want to say to everyone, if notice your yearbutts coming up and don't make them wrong.
yeah,
And maybe even type them in the chat and could go, but yeah, but what about this situation? Yeah, but in here, how can you say there's enough when we've got starving children in, it's always Africa. Um, because this is how we get curious, because often when we can sit in these sort of things, we can hear a person, we can nod our head and go, yeah, it's to be curious about noticing our yeah buts, that resistance, because this is where our own gem is. It's not about making ourselves wrong, because that suppression of is almost the very thing that prevents us to be going, wow, this is fascinating. And so, Julie, we have a lovely hashtag in the Welsh world. We call WTF. It doesn't stand for that. It's just, wow, that's fascinating. When we notice something, we'll just go WTF. Like, oh, can we
yeah,
be fascinated?
mm,
Because even as we we're talking here, I was going, oh, I recently had a situation with a sort of friend slash colleague in a situation who from a very, I guess, a mindset or an element where I could go for myself was abundance. I shared some information and I got sort of almost quite attacked from a scarcity, but that's my own stuff. No one should have it. This feeling of that knowledge or information is scarce and that we have to
yeah,
hold on to that and put a barrier. And it was a very interesting experience for me because I was taken back and a bit what to do. And from whence I had come was not from any kind of taking. But I had to realize that even my own reaction was that, oh, there was still seeds of me that bought into the story of scarcity.
yeah, yeah,
That that we need to protect, that we need to hold back, that maybe somebody's going to take
yeah,
what we have. Um, And this is a fine dance, I guess, when we have this, because it's not that those things might not happen.
sure,
Land
yeah,
might be taken. There's many people here who maybe come from a place where they've had to move country because of a political regime. Right might be taken from us. So it's this fine element of what is the external environment versus nothing can be taken from who we are and the access and the
yeah,
truth of life. So this little nuance and how to navigate that. So I just want to sort of
yeah,
share with that. And I see a couple of people are putting in their yeah buts here because I think having the yeah buts are a great example of then before you go into how do we dismantle that. Because so for me, a big noticing was going, oh, right now we've got a situation here in the bush where a couple of people are really threatening the environment and the protected area status, and I can feel myself getting on to fight it and protect and defend. And I'm going to go with this scarcity meaning scarcity reaction is then buying into it. I'm going, well, what am I believing? Well, there is a
mm,
belief of a part of me that somehow I owned any of this. That our human interactions can change the fundamental nature of life and science. And so this is just a small little dance, and obviously there's huge layers here. But maybe if we look at this element as we talk about
yeah.
dismantling that, we can, as you talk
So
about this,
really,
as you say,
it's,
this is this beautiful core one right up front. But yeah, but there's
yeah.
not enough.
And yes, so really, when you look at the stages of dismantling a limiting belief, okay? Now, I don't, my approach to beliefs is that, in my opinion, I know nothing. Okay? Fundamentally, I know nothing. In terms of the what is a truth of the universe. Okay, I'm not there yet. I'm not enlightened. What I can do from my current level of consciousness is say, is this belief that I'm holding helping me or is it not helping me? In Does it help me achieve the goal that I think I want in my life right now, or does it not help me? Does believing there is not enough help me, or does it put me in a state of fear where I become reactive, where I feel envy, where I feel jealousy, where I feel like I need to hustle, where I exhaust myself, where I burn out my adrenals? Is that what it's doing? Or is it helping me? Right? I know what the answer is for me in with respect to that belief, right? But your answer might be different, and that's fine. Because there's no like ultimate truth that has to be true for you, and me and everyone else on this planet all at the same time, right? So that's number one. So if you've decided, so step number one in belief change is identify the belief and identify, is it helping you or is it holding you? Do you think it's holding you back? Is it limiting you or not? And then two, if you think it's limiting you, how can you insert doubt? You don't have to completely wipe out all the yeah buts, right? You don't have to do that. All you have to do is break the back of the absoluteness of the belief. So if my belief was there is not enough, and I just gave you the example of the sun, does that help break the back of the absoluteness of the belief there is not enough, right? Yeah, there might be a few yeah, but examples floating around, but can I entertain the idea that sometimes there is enough? That sometimes, and here's where we start to dig even deeper. Um, the idea that there is not enough has a different idea underneath it. And not a different idea, a deeper idea, which is I'm not enough. I'm not enough. That's really when you dig down, that's what's going on, right? And is there any possibility that I might be enough? Can I entertain that idea that I might be enough? There might be situations in which I am enough. So you just introduce the doubt, you crack the back of the absoluteness of the limiting belief. And then the third step is you decide what you'd rather believe. And if you're not ready to put in place a new absolute belief, like I'm always enough, or there is always enough, that's okay. You can put in place a belief that's just a bit more helpful to you than the one that you had before. You don't have to change everything all at once. We're making steps, right? And then when you get to the edge of that belief being useful, you can change it again, because belief change, believe it or not, is pretty easy. It's not hard.
Yeah, I love that, Julie, in terms of it, because I think we tend to think there's this deep rigidity around beliefs, and there can be, and this, and come back to this habitual patterns. Because I think one of the things I was just recently created and developed a program called Enough, and we were exploring around it's that when we are so attached to our identity or who we believe we are and the rigidity of the way the world is, and that is what just beliefs are, is this construct we've created to navigate and give meaning and sense to the world, in some way make ourselves safe. And so through all of these mechanisms, we're saying it's not about having to completely blast it apart, is can we create that tiny gap, just a
Yeah.
little sliver, so that we can have a tiny bit of perspective that, oh, now it's no longer right up against me and defined who I am, what I am, and this absolute, the world is, I am that. Like, fuck, it's terrifying. It's like, there's this tiny separation between the truth of just our being versus all of these concepts around who we believe we are, who we believe the world is, all the beliefs. Because essentially, we swim in an ocean, we in deep in an ocean of abundance, but we encased in this hard case of the beliefs that we've created to give meaning to the world. And all we're doing is opening those a tiny bit to
Yeah.
be able to
It's more
experience
freedom. It's
a
more
little bit.
expansiveness. It's more
And
possibility.
and that's because I think a lot of people
Mm.
think belief change is taking one rigid casing and quickly changing it with another rigid casing. Because
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah,
it's not about, okay, now I must have this belief, and then that one is going
yeah.
to be. rigidity there. And then it's like, well, fuck, why's the old one still there? And it's like, well, no, it's actually just a little bit of a loosening that maybe, just maybe, all the things that we believe to be true just
Yeah.
ain't so. If we can just be open
Just
to, yeah,
what if that's not 100% correct? You know? What if, uh, another one of the beliefs that I talk about in the book is essentially the belief more money, more problems,
mhm.
right? Money is just gonna, oh God, it's gonna be
More
bring so much,
hassles.
so much admin,
Go there sometimes.
so much admin. And also, then what's gonna happen with my friendships? And there's a lot of layers, and that's where, the 7 different beliefs that affect most people come in, is there are a lot of layers. Like what if I can be about belonging, what if I suddenly become more wealthy than my friends and my family? Will they change towards me because maybe they're in the scarcity paradigm, right? Maybe they're not living in the abundance paradigm and they may feel envy, jealousy, all that stuff that resides in that paradigm. And, what am I going to do about that? And those are all valid questions, by the way, right?
Yeah.
They're not baseless fears. It's just having the belief that, for example, if I become wealthy, I'm going to lose all my friends. I'm going to lose all my family. Having that belief, is that helpful to me? Is it possible that some of my friends and family will be happy for me? Is it possible that some of my relationships might even improve? With as I become more able to be gracious and generous, with my abundance, might that
And
help me?
and then it's also beautiful to say, oh, so what belief do I have about my relationships and friendships that
Right.
I have to cling to all of them, that they all have to be permanent? Because it can
Mm,
really be, well, oh, so if as I shift and change and I go into new chapters in my life and some relationships and friendships and stuff drift away or are no longer at the same side. What belief and what story am I creating about that? And I love what you said. Just about everything comes back down to a root of that I'm not enough.
yeah.
Oh, does that mean they're going to reject me? And is this need to belong, this need for that external side? And this is when we can create, as you said, this beautiful, just enough space to go, wow, oh, curious, that's interesting. Wow, I have some belief that everybody needs to like me, or
Right.
that, and
Mm,
that I'm actually scared because that maybe means I'm not good enough, or I might be attacked or inside. And often it's not. It's like, oh, and this beautiful compassion, as you said, it's not about needing to change. It's just, wow, no wonder that sucks. That feels hard. No wonder that feels frightening and scary if
yeah.
I believe that other people's perception of me is going to define my safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this beautiful unpicking. And I mean, here's one Caroline said, one of her yearbutts. She says, my friend is leaving a stressful job and she needs to get income in or she risks losing her home. So yeah, but she has to hustle and do whatever gets money in fast rather than create what is aligned for her because that may fail. And so what's beautiful here, and I love Caroline, where we come in so often so I'll give you sort of my view. Often we're so up against the circumstance of life that we hold on with our beliefs about this year, but that in all of these elements. And so what is a way, Caroline, for you to also go, for all of us to go, let's just get a bit of perspective. What are we believing about that? So
Mm,
that's such a juicy, beautiful one because there's a belief about losing a home. Is it a problem? Like,
right.
are we holding on to things for certain? Because it's also beautiful. Like, what is the story we created? Maybe it will be true, maybe it won't be true. But also the things that we fear, often we fear them because we fear they define something about us.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to say, well, what's the meaning of losing our home or the this or the that? We can say, but don't we all want a home? So I'd love your sort of unpicking or of that one, Julia, and just this sort of
Yeah.
really loose grip of this tightness. But yeah, but you have to, and you're going to lose these things, and
Yeah.
you've got to hold on, and you've
Yeah.
got to sacrifice.
So let's take it bit by bit. Yeah, but my friend is leaving a stressful job and she needs to get income in or she's at risk of losing her home. So I look at that and go, she's leaving a stressful job. If she can then be in a state where she is less stressed, what possibilities does that open for her? What creative thinking might be possible for her when her stress levels reduce? What opportunities might she see that she's blind to right now because she's too burned out to see them? So there's always like, yes, yes, let's not be blind to this is, a stressful situation. It's new, it's risky. All of this is change. Human beings, we don't like change. It does activate our fear circuitry. And that is natural, right? It's natural for our fear circuitry to get activated in times of change. And what can we do to just bring ourselves to presence and go, yeah, but a different kind of yeah, but what's possible now? That'd be a good yeah, but to be able to entertain. Yeah, but what does this make? What does this open up for her? Is she able to get to that place where she says, yeah, but what's possible now? And yeah, she might need to get money in so that she can keep her home. All of that is true. It's not, not denying that it's true. And staying in that fear state isn't going to help her. So this is where we come back to the like for example, I see here, but she has to hustle. Does she? Does she? Is hustle the only way to create abundance and prosperity? Does it have to be hustle? Because for me, I like thinking of myself as a screw turner. And what I mean by a screw turner is like I don't put in a lot of hours ever. I have not put in a lot of hours since 1998, right? But I'm good. I'm really good at identifying this thing. If I change this one thing, if I just turn that screw by 180 degrees, I'm going to open this panel and unlock this flow that was hiding behind this panel. So, like, does it have to be hustle? I don't believe so. That's no longer in my belief system that I have to hustle to create flow and abundance.
Yeah, this is really beautiful because also what is useful when we are starting to have stories and anxiety or beliefs about other people. And this is a very interesting one that you brought up, Caroline, because you're not even talking about yourself. You're talking about a friend, and you share later that, oh, but yeah, but you feel anxious thinking about her being okay. And that's also really beautiful because generally, often we can think that that's coming from love and caring and generosity. But when we can just slow down a little bit, it's going, well, what actually is that anxiety about? Is there some meaning on you? In what way are you feeling at risk? What's that fear? Because anxiety is a fear that you are feeling. And this beautiful aspect around what is the story we've created of what is success? And a word was also created here about um, I'm afraid I'm yeah, but if I'm enough, why haven't I succeeded yet? And this right, I want to come and bring us right back what Julie and I were starting from the beginning. And abundance, success, life, this aspect of what are the rules we've created, the definition of now you're good enough, now you are worthy of life. So success is often this, well, if I've ticked off these criteria, I've got a home, I've got the house, I've got the career, I've got the picket fence, I've got the dog and 2.5 children or whatever that thing is, then I've succeeded. And this dance between trying to create success or have possessions, have abundance as having it. I've now got to these things. to make me okay or prove my enoughness or use those as a measure of abundance. Well, there we go. Now I can show that there's abundance because neither of them are things that can be created. And this is the deep paradox. As long as we seek our security, our enoughness, our evidence of abundance from outside, from a set of criteria that can be measured, we're fucked. We're back in scarcity, believing that, well, when these things are okay, then I'll be okay. It's coming from needing to protect. It's coming from needing to define. And so it's such a nuance of kind of going, abundance is a state. It's already something available to us. We're dropping it away. We're not trying to create it. Our enoughness, it's already there. You can't create it by a house, a home. And then, yes, there's the practicality. Is it a bit inconvenient and maybe life might feel physically uncomfortable if there's not a roof over the head? But it doesn't change the reality of the okayness in life.
Yeah.
So maybe, Julie, if we could dive into how we create these rules, or we've got a set of criteria that the way we believe life should be for us to be okay. And that's often this resistance.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I mean, for example, let's just say, when you look at this situation with your friend, Caroline, what assumptions are you making, right? Let's say she does lose her house. You're making the assumption, I hear you saying that, I don't want her to lose her position on the housing ladder. I don't think she would get back on again. Okay. So there's an assumption going on there, be it right or wrong. And then, like I said, it's not about right and wrong. It's just about helpful or not helpful. Is it helpful to you to believe this about her? And let's say you believed it about yourself. Let's say you were in her position and you believe, I might lose my house and I don't believe I will get back on the housing ladder, right? Is that a helpful belief to you that if you lose your house, you will not get back on the housing ladder? I think it's probably not a helpful belief. If I were analyzing my beliefs and I had that one, I go, well, that's very limiting. I'd rather believe that everything that happens that appears like a setback is opening the door to something better. That's what I would choose to believe in that situation. And maybe that house that she's in is not the right house. Maybe that's not the right place for her to be. Maybe that door closing is forcing another door open that leads to somewhere better. Now, again, I'm not a psychic. I'm not predicting the future. I'm just pointing out that you can believe one thing or you can believe another thing. One belief is probably not helpful. The other belief probably could be helpful because it leaves the door open for great possibilities, and leaving that door open in your mind allows your mind to scan the field of opportunities and not dismiss things that you would otherwise dismiss with that limiting belief in place. And this is where really I come from I'm not actually a woo-woo person when it comes to the way that I approach abundance. I'm not a manifestation person, although I do believe in miracles. I do believe in manifestation. What I believe is that often when we change our beliefs and we change the code that we have in our brains around abundance, that things happen that look like miracles. They look like miracles, but in fact, the miracle is within us and within our brain's own incredible ability to scan our environment, to assess opportunity, to assess risk, to see possibilities. And a lot of that scanning is going on without our conscious awareness. It's being done by our subconscious mind, which is why it's so important for us to get into our subconscious belief code and rewrite it so that it's more helpful to us than it was before. like I said, we're not talking about perfection here, right? We're just talking about giving ourselves a bit more freedom in that code so that our subconscious mind can scan a bit more widely than we were letting it scan before. And when we let it scan a bit more widely, we see more opportunity. And that in turn causes us to be able to take advantage of more opportunity in our lives and create more abundance. That's essentially the mechanism that I believe is going on. It's a lot more powerful than we give it credit for. And I mean, if you look at if you take this computer analogy, right? Your conscious mind, the storage capacity of your conscious mind, let's call it a gigabyte. If you compare that to this unconscious mind's capacity, we're talking about like 5 terabytes. Okay, like it's not even a competition, right? And so if I'm on my conscious layer and I'm like, I'm going to hustle, 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 hustle with my conscious mind, I'm going to work it out, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm doing all this at the conscious level, and I have some contradictory code sitting at the subconscious level, I'm going to lose that battle every single time. Every single time. It doesn't matter how much I hustle. If I have code in there that says, no, you can't have that, I will not have it.
Yep. That unconscious is just so much bigger. And most we're going to go, yeah, you could say, and I think this is part of and this nuance and this dance where affirmations, manifesting, focusing on what we want is so important. But it can't, because we can get people come from a deep place of scarcity. Well, if I just overwrite this and go,
Right.
no, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, but it's from this deep base of sudden, I'm just sitting there going, okay, this is fun. Let me watch this movie. You think you're gonna get nah, and I think so. This whole aspect where we can just have a little bit more playfulness
Yeah.
and self-compassion with ourselves, as you started beautifully. I just don't know. When we really can go, we actually as humans don't actually fucking know what really is going on in the universe, how we work, how our awareness, how did we come to be these conscious creatures, conscious and aware of ourselves? An extraordinary thing. Okay, there's that beautiful, I guess, a Zen parable of, I don't know, the farmer comes along and a bunch of horses, a wild horse, his horse runs away. And all the rest of the village says, "Oh, this is such bad news. This is so terrible. Your horse that you had to plow your fields has run away." And he goes, "Well, good news, bad news, I don't know." And then a month later, this horse comes back and has found a whole herd of wild horses. And suddenly he's got this whole herd of horses that can be used for the different farmers for himself. And the whole village goes, "Oh, that was so lucky. That's just so fantastic. Oh, so lucky." He goes, "Well, good news, bad news, I don't know." And so his son starts riding some of these horses and to train them, and he gets thrown off and he breaks his leg. And everyone's like, "Oh, this is just so terrible. You must be devastated. Your son, who's key for the farming, such bad news." And he says, "Good news, bad news, I don't know." And a few weeks later, the military comes through to subscript all of the young, able bodied men in the villages to go off to war. But because the son's leg is broken, he's not conscripted in to go off. And everyone says, "So lucky that that happens." Good news, bad news, we don't know. So I think for me, one of the things that has helped me so much with really navigating my limiting beliefs, the things that are not serving, is to just create enough of a gap to go, maybe I just don't know. And when
Mm.
we're navigating for our kids, for our friends, and things where often they're a beautiful reflection of what am I believing about the world for myself? Because often we see it's easier to, and thank you, Caroline, for typing in that your yearback. This is the beautiful side. We're using it. It's just as a beautiful example when I can just drop that tightness, that need to have absoluteness, this need to believe that I know what is going on in the world. Is good news, bad news? We don't know. She might lose her home. She might never get on to house matter.
Mm.
I don't
It
know,
might
but
be the greatest thing that ever happened to her losing that job. right?
Good news, bad news, we don't know. And this humility of not knowing, not as a cop out, but just as ability to go, okay, so I don't know. So I love then using that to be able to just, instead of that tension of needing to know and getting it
Mm,
right, because I think we can also believe we have to know that need to control, need to know the reason. From that place to feel safe not knowing is
yeah.
really, because that is the thing. Can we
And
feel
that
safe?
is where it comes back to where we started, that belief, I am enough.
Yeah, it's okay.
So that no matter what comes, I am okay. I am okay. Fundamentally, I am okay. Whether I have good luck, whether I have bad luck, whether things go my way, whether I think they go my way, whether I think they don't go my way, whether I think I know, whether I don't think I know, fundamentally, I am okay.
Yeah. And I
And
think
look, we're talking
situation,
about a lifetime of therapy for some people, right?
which for many of us still are. I have no illusion. I'm going to be sliding sideways in the grave, still a huge work in progress. And I think
But
what's beautiful,
but it's a
yeah,
worthy goal. It's a worthier goal
yeah,
than saying, I need this, I need that, I need the other thing, I need the house, I need the car, I need and spend my entire life energy focusing on that external manifestation of okayness rather than going, actually, I need to feel okay. I need to feel okay first. Um, and yeah, how can I, how can I feel better about the way I'm moving through the world and examining your beliefs and trying to loosen them up and allow some more freedom, I believe unmasks us. Because sometimes I'm glad that you talked about the affirmation thing. And is, the way that I talk about that is yes, you can achieve a lot with affirmations. Affirmations do work. Sometimes they work in a temporary sense.
yeah,
Uh, if you do have still, you're carrying a belief conflict underneath, right? But it's kind of like, okay, look, if I go into a room where there's mold all over the walls and I whack some wallpaper on top of the moldy wall, it's going to look better for a little while, right? It's going to put that wallpaper on top and it's going to look good. It's going to
quickly
look good.
sell it and get the fuck out of there.
Yes.
No.
But eventually that mold is going to grow through, right? And so a much better approach is to go in, clean off the mold, do the work, clean that wall up, clean that stuff, and then put the wallpaper on. The wallpaper is still a beautiful thing to put on, right? Affirmations are still good, but if you don't
Yeah.
clean that gunk underneath first, that gunk is going to show through eventually. Okay.
And I think
Uh,
that's such an important point about do the work, be prepared to go into the work. Because I think often when we can get stuck in our fears and the rigidity of a belief is not wanting to actually emotionally, energetically get up and close, roll those sleeves up and come in. One, we don't feel safe to go close to it, or we're scared of dismantling that. And so just coming back to this situation with your friend Caroline, in this, first we do exactly what you said, that when we go, okay, is my anxiety, is my fear that I'm going to potentially be vomiting on my friend, is it serving me or them? Great. No, great. Let me go, can I just be open to the possibility that it's all okay? Now, it doesn't mean we now resign ourselves in this, because I think this is the other side that people think that it's all just this passivity. No, it's not going, oh, well, there's mold on the walls. I accept that there's mold on the walls. There's truth. It's then going, great. If I want to stay in this environment, what's going to serve? What's the work that needs to be done? And so we can still go in with supporting ourselves, our friends, say, well, I still want to have that goal to own a home or something. I no longer need it to define me because I've come awake. I've remembered that no, I'm already whole and complete. It's not going to define my worthiness or my okayness. but it's something that I would like to have. It's something my creativity, my expression of abundance wants to go after. Now we're looser about it. We're not
Yeah.
making ourselves defined by it. And so with your friends to say, okay, well, great, you want to leave this job, you want this side, and there's head. How do we come together and use our amazing, the abundance of ideas and creativity to think of ways to do this in a way that's joyful and filled with grace and love and kindness. And because when we can come into a solution from our okayness with abundant possibility, then maybe all sorts of creative ideas you can come up with. And this
Yeah.
is the edge. This is the edge that I think Julie's really sharing is from whence we come. It's that state of being, of how we
Yes.
come into a situation from in relationships. So often it's this race to the bottom in relationships. Oh, we've got to compromise, we've got to like this side, and it's as though it's everybody's going to their corners to what's the lowest common denominator we can come to agree on. No, it's like how do we hold for the possibility of the greatest good, but not betraying ourselves the truth of what is.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So, Julie, I
Mm.
mean, this has just been so beautiful. Colette says life outside of ourselves is oftentimes just a mirror. What are we seeing here? And so here's an interesting one. So, Caroline, thank you for sharing. She says, suppose there's a difference also between not rescuing versus actually being available to collaborate for a solution.
Yes. Yes.
So, what generally do you find is one of the underlying beliefs around the rescuer energy?
Oh my gosh. I have really struggled with this one in my own life. And I can only share that personally, where my rescuer was coming from was no one's coming to rescue me. That was the underlying belief in me. No one came to rescue me, and no one's coming to rescue me. And the way that I can rectify that with the universe is to rescue other people. Except that that was incredibly exhausting. Very, very exhausting. And allowed me, I had to face, allowed me to avoid dealing with the pain that I had felt abandoned and not rescued myself when I was young. So I do think that often we're very good at avoiding ourselves by making us by making ourselves very busy in the world, doing something or other, or rushing here, rushing there, rescuing somebody else. And when we're so outward, I think that that is often a telltale sign that we are running away from something inside of ourselves.
Oh, thank you, Julie. Just as always, so amazing. And just thank you for your time. And just before we wrap up, I'd love to know where is abundance and life and your deep enoughness bringing your curiosity and energy to currently? And yeah, where can people also connect with you?
Well, you can go to the abundancecodebook.com, read about the book. You can sign up for a free 5-part series where I talk about the 7 money myths and where I think they've come from in our cultural conditioning. And really, the book is probably the best resource that I can offer you. It is a how-to guide for changing those 7 core beliefs about money. But one of the things when I was writing the book that it's not obvious when you read the book, but I did a lot of training in neurolinguistic programming. And so I wrote the book in a way that the book reprograms you while you read it. So there's kind of a meta program running. And while you read the book, the reprogramming is already starting to happen. And then there are exercises at the end of every chapter just to deepen on that. But so that really was my big give back to the world. Um, you know, a lot of people know there's not a lot of money in books. It wasn't really for that reason. Uh, and then the other resource I have is a docu-series of the same title, The Abundance Code, which streams on Gaia.com. And the docu-series is more about a lot of different thought leaders that I interviewed, who I believe are people who have stepped into this abundant way of thinking. And I wanted to interview them about the journey that got them from that conditioning that we all have that puts us in the scarcity mindset. How did they break free from that and get to an abundant way of thinking? And they all have their own stories with how that came about for them. But really, the purpose of that was to show it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your background is. This shift is possible for you too. Yeah, so that's on Gaia.com, the Abundance Code docu-series.
And where is your beautiful, abundant curiosity and life force focusing its attention now?
You wouldn't believe it, Anne. A laundry business.
You see, this is what I love, the beautiful, grounded practicality. Julie is an amazing moneymaker. She has a whole plethora of Airbnbs created in New Zealand. Again, different chapters. Things have come, projects that you did that didn't go well, an app business needing to move and shift. And that's so exciting.
Yeah. Well, so I live in Queenstown, New Zealand, which is an incredible tourist town that is pumping all year round with visitors. I have Airbnbs here. There are a huge number of Airbnbs in this town. And the one thing that all the Airbnbs need is a reliable supply of linen. And so I am in the process of setting up a linen business.
I just love that. And this is, I think, the beautiful dance of the in and the out. It doesn't mean when we sit from a beautiful place of our own enoughness and abundance, we don't engage in life and participate and curious. I mean, it's just the most fantastic fucking playpen that we've been given an opportunity to play in and Lego blocks. Why would we not play with them? But that separation, and you are such an example of going, I am Julie, and this is this earth we get to play in, and they two very different things. Well, Julie, my darling, thank you for your